Robyn Davidson is an Australian writer best known for her book Tracks, about her 1,700-mile trek across the deserts of West Australia using camels. Her career of travelling and writing about her travels has spanned over 30 years. Biography: Davidson was born at Stanley Park, a cattle station in Miles, Queensland, the second of two girls. Her mother committed suicide when Davidson was 11, and she was largely raised by her father's unmarried sister, Gillian. She went to a girls' boarding school in Brisbane. She received a music scholarship but did not take it up. In Brisbane, Davidson shared a house with radical biologists and studied zoology. Later, she went to Sydney and lived a bohemian kind of life as a member of the Push. In the 1970s, Davidson moved to Alice Springs in an effort to work with camels for a desert trek she was planning. For 2 years she trained camels and learned how to survive in the harsh desert. She was peripherally involved in the Aboriginal land rights movement. For some years in the 1980s she was the lover of Salman Rushdie, to whom she was introduced by their mutual friend Bruce Chatwin. Davidson has moved frequently, and at homes in Sydney, London, and India. She currently resides in Castlemaine, Victoria, Australia. Tracks: in 1977, Davidson set off from Alice Springs for the West Coast, with a dog and 4 camels, Dookie, Bub, Zelica, and Goliath. She had no intention of writing about the journey, but eventually agreed to write an article for National Geographic magazine. Having met the photographer Rick Smullen in Alice Springs, she insisted that he be the photographer for the journey. Rick, with whom she had an on-again off-again romantic relationship during the trip, drove out to meet her 3 times during the 9-month journey. The National Geographic article was published in 1978 and attracted so much interest that Davidson decided to write a book about the experience. She travelled to London and lived with Doris Lessing while writing Tracks. Tracks won the inaugural Thomas Cook Travel Book Award in 1980 and the Blind Society Award. In the early 90s, Smullen published his pictures of the trip in From Alice to Ocean. It included the first interactive story and photo CDs made for the general public. It has been suggested that one of the reasons Tracks was so popular, particularly with women, is that Davidson places herself in the wilderness of her own accord, rather than as an adjunct to a man. Divide Sauna Euro unregistered trademark Desert Journey is remembered by Indigenous Australians she encountered along the way. Artist Jean Burke remembers Davidson in a painting called The Camel Lady which was produced for a Warrakarna Artists exhibition in Darwin in 2011. Burke Euro unregistered trademark father, Mr. Eddie, had trekked through Ngani at Jarrah lands with Davidson, guiding her to water sources along the way. Davidson mentions Mr. Eddie in Tracks. In 2013, a film adaptation directed by John Curran and starring Mia Wasikowska was completed. The film Tracks screened at the Venice Film Festival. Nomads: the majority of Davidson's work has been traveling with and studying nomadic peoples. Jane Sullivan in The Age writes that while she is often called a social anthropologist, she has no academic qualifications and claims to be completely self-taught. Davidson's experiences with nomads include traveling on migration with nomads in India from 1990 to 1992. These experiences were published in Desert Places. She has studied different forms of the nomad lifestyle including those in Australia, India, and Tibet for a book and a documentary series. Her writing on nomads is based mainly on personal experience, and she brings many of her thoughts together in No Fixed Address, her contribution to the quarterly essay series. Sullivan writes about this work. One of the questions we need to ask, if we are to have a future, she says, is, where did we cause less damage to ourselves, to our environment, and to our animal kin? One answer is, when we were nomadic. It is when we settled that we became strangers in a strange land, and wandering took on the quality of banishment, she writes, and then later adds, I shall probably be accused of romanticism. References in popular culture: Davidson is the subject of a song written by Irish folk singer and songwriter Mick Hanley. The song, Crusader, was recorded by Mary Black on her 1983 self-titled album. Works: Davidson, Robyn. Tracks. Vintage. ISBN A0-679-76287-6. Davidson, Robyn. Thomas Keneally and Patsy Adams Smith. Australia, Beyond the Dreamtime. Facts on file. ISBN A0-8160-1922-3. Davidson, Robyn. Travelling Light, a collection of essays. HarperCollins. Paperback original edition. ISBN A0-207-18034-2. Writer, Mail Order Bride, Davidson, Robyn. Ancestors. Australian large print. ISBN A1-86340-292-6. Davidson, Robyn. Desert Places, Pastoral Nomads in India. Penguin. ISBN A0-14-026797-2. Davidson, Robyn. The Picador Book of Journeys. Picador. New Ed edition. ISBN A0-330-36863. Davidson, Robyn. No Fixed Address, Nomads and the Fate of the Planet. Quarterly Essayer, Davidson, Robyn. Self-Portrait with Imaginary Mother, Notes. References: Falkiner, Suzanne. Wilderness, East Roseville, Simon & Schuster. External links: No Fixed Address, transcript of a talk by Davidson in December 2006 on Perspective Program, ABC Radio National. Robyn Davidson in Conversation, MP3 download of Conversation with Richard Fiedler. ABC Local Radio December 6, 2006, Nomadic Cultures, Journeys and Coming Home. Robyn Davidson joins desert archaeologist Mike Smith for a discussion about her travels in Australia, India, China and Tibet. National Museum of Australia, Historical Interpretation Series, September 16, 2007, Robyn Davidson at Talking Heads, September 1, 2008. Participation at Germain's Legacy, After the Female Eunuch, session at Adelaide Writers' Week, April 2008.